So my name is Dana Black, and I am running in House District 88. We are running against Brian Bosma in November. I don't have a Democratic opponent. I know many of you are really ticked off right now at the legislation that Mike Pence has been signing. But one thing you have to remember, before any legislation can get to the governor's desk, it must go through the Senate and it must go through the House. Now, my opponent is the Speaker of the House. He has been in his seat for 30 years. If you do not believe that that man has as much power as Mike Pence does, then you're not paying attention. And I'm going to put it out there just like that. Brian Bosma has been in his seat for 30 years. So when 1337 came up, he had an option to call it to a committee or not. He looked at that legislation created by a man who could never be pregnant. And as a man who could never be pregnant, decided he would put it in a committee where most of the people in that committee were people who could not be pregnant. And then it was voted on the House floor where the majority of the representatives could never be pregnant and never ever have to deal with the loss of a child from an internal standpoint. Don't get me wrong, I understand fathers can feel that grief as well, but considering that 80% of our General Assembly are men, I find it incredibly appalling that they seem to think they know more about what a woman should do with their bodies than the woman does. I don't care if you are for or against reproductive rights or abortion or whatever you want to call it. In my personal opinion, it is none of my business what you do with your body. My job is to be supportive of whatever decision you have decided to make. And being supportive does not mean adding undue stress to your existence. I'm going to tell you a quick story. My best friends, they were 12 months pregnant with twins. Very excited about having an extension to their family. But unfortunately, they were not able to carry the babies to full term. And so we lost our babies. So while they were working on legislation to deny you the right to make choices about your bodies, what they should have been focusing on was a family who just is grieving, and one half of that couple cannot be on the birth certificate or the death certificate. Think about that. You are already grieving the loss of your babies, and now you can't even be acknowledged as the parent, and you and your spouse are legally married. These are the things they need to be focusing on, but they are finding ways to figure out how you cannot make a decision about your body. Now listen, we don't have to keep dealing with the same nonsense that we've been dealing with. We have a choice in 2016. You may not be in my district, but I bet you know somebody that lives in District 88. And if you're not familiar with where that is, it's North Lawrence, South Fishers, and Hancock County, McCordsville, Fortville. You tell them, hey, if you're sick of the direction that our state is going in, there is somebody who is running in your district that understands that it's really more important to care about our infrastructure than it is figuring out who you're sleeping with. You tell them you have a candidate who is more concerned about making sure our children have the right type of curriculum so they can be competitive in the world than whether or not a woman has the right to choose what happens to her body. And you tell them that there's a candidate in your district that really wants you to breathe clean air and drink clean water, because I want to make sure that environmentally we are taking care of Indiana the way we should. And you tell them also that you have a candidate that understands in order for you to grow an economy, you have to be an open state. You cannot tell big businesses, you know what, you may not want to come here because your employees might be discriminated against. And you don't want to tell Cummings, listen, I know you need that superstar engineer, but they're gay and they may not find a place to live. You can't grow your economy if you are limiting the amount of people that you can allure to your state. Last time I checked, we don't have any beaches. And we don't have any mountains to climb. We have to offer a quality of life that is attractive to young people. And right now, we are literally 2 professional sports teams away. You take away the Colts, you take away the Pacers, we are Mississippi, Alabama, and West Virginia. 3 of the poorest performing states in our nation. It's time for our leadership to focus on what is most important about moving Indiana forward. Take care of the means to get produce from point A to point B. Give our kids the type of curriculum they need to be competitive. I want to make sure I don't have an asthma attack every time I walk outside the house. And please allow me to get a good job, or better yet, find quality talent in my state so I can grow my economy. Instead of spending $1.5 million on lawyers to fight unconstitutional laws, instead of paying $2 million to PR firms to fix your image, that money could have been to improve Indiana.
Yeah.
So again, I know that it is very difficult to win a seat that a person has been holding for a very long time. And I know that that seat leans very right. But one of the reasons why I'm running is in 2014, I went to go cast my rebellious vote against RFRA, and there was nobody for me to vote for. That was unacceptable. I live in Marion County, the most Democratic county in the state of Indiana. There was no Democrat for me to vote for. Never again. And the second reason is that we count. The last time, well, my wife and I just filed our taxes on Monday, and we wrote checks to the state of Indiana. We didn't get any tax returns. So you're going to tell me you're going to take my money and treat me bad? That's not going to happen. But the only way we are going to count, and the only way we are going to matter, is that we have to have a voice in the General Assembly. 80% of the General Assembly are men. That is why this bill passed. There is a supermajority on the right. That's why this bill passed. We have to get rid of the supermajority, balance it out, get some more Democrats to have a real dialogue, not just, it's my way. So as you're coloring, and I think this is a fantastic idea, color your junk. Think about the people that you know. Think about the areas that you live in. Pay attention to who's running in the Senate in your area and who is running in the House in your area. And see if you can help the person that most aligns with your views and your values. We have a lot of work to do in Indiana. We have a lot of repairing that we have to do. We have a lot of, perceptions that we must change. But the only way we can do that is if we change the General Assembly. Yes, Pence must go, but if you bring John Gregg in, he's still working with that same General Assembly. He's not going to get much done. So we've got to change the General Assembly. My name is Dana Black. My campaign is called Indiana's Own, www.indianazone.com. Got to get that in there. And I am working for moving Indiana forward, making us competitive in the nation. Thank you very much.